Hey, Dan Cochimilio here with NorCal Sports Network with a video on the San Francisco Giants and what is their next move after Corbin Burnes shunned them and signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Before we get into this video, let us thank our sponsor, Chapman Law Group. Check them out in the description of this video. And if everybody would give this a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, would really appreciate that. Helps the channel's algorithms. Thanks so much in advance. All right, guys, what's the Giants' next move? Gee whiz, it's just crazy that they lost out on Corbin Burnes. And obviously, it had everything to do with what was the opt-out after 2 years that the Diamondbacks went ahead and gave Burnes. I don't fault the Giants for not giving Burnes the opt-out after 2 years. I would have maybe tried to compromise and do it after 3 years. I don't know if they did that. I would have liked to seen maybe a 6-year where he kind of settled closer, maybe 220. Maybe you could have gone back and say, okay, he's looking at 210. Maybe you go 6 years, 220, 225, and give the opt-out after 3 seasons. What this signals to me, though, is a little bit alarming. Think about this. The Giants not giving Burnes an opt-out after 2 years. What is that saying as the team? Is Buster saying they don't think they will be competitive during the 2-year period you have Burnes? Because we've seen what can happen if you get into the playoffs. Look, the Dodgers are a force, right? They're loaded. They're like 8 deep. If anything, they could be 9 deep in their lineup, but they don't have many weaknesses. But good pitching can overcome a strong offense, and we saw that. Look, the Dodgers didn't have Shohei or Teoscar in the 23 season, but the Diamondbacks took them out in a short playoff series. The Diamondbacks only won 84 games and made it all the way to the World Series. In the previous season, the Dodgers were eliminated by an 89-win team in the playoffs. So there's no guarantee that says you meet up in a 3-game series or a 5-game series with solid pitching. I mean, if you had Burnes at the top of your rotation, followed by Logan Webb, and then Robbie Ray, if he bounces back, Giants could win a playoff series with Burnes. But now you said no to the 2 years. So that makes me question, do you believe as the San Francisco Giants that you are going to not be competitive enough to at least have Burnes for 2 years? Now, I get it. You don't want this revolving door. You don't want a guy in and out. He's here for 2 years and you lose him. But are the Giants sometimes in this day and age, it's just about putting the right team together for the next year or two, which leads us into where do the Giants go now? Do they look to a Pete Alonso and maybe offer him a short-term deal with opt-outs after year one, after each couple of years? Because we understand, rumors have it that the Mets, he turned down a deal with the Mets for 3 years and $90 million. So they were offering him $30 million a year AAV. So he turned that down. That means Alonso wants more security. He's probably looking for closer to a 5-year deal is my guess. But the Giants, I don't think, are going to do that. I don't think, with Bryce Eldridge coming up. But could you get Alonso on a higher AAV? Could you give him a 3-year, $105 million a year deal, or over 3 years? Even 3 years, 100, that's 33 and a third per year. But if you gave him, say, 35 a year, that would be 3 years, 105 with opt-outs after year one, and maybe another one. So if Alonso is kind of a short-term stopgap until Bryce Eldridge comes up? Or what happens if Alonso's killing it and becomes your first 30 home run guy since 2004 season? The Giants have gone 20 seasons without a guy hitting 30 home runs in a season since Barry Bonds. What happens if Alonso does well and all of a sudden Bryce Eldridge comes up and he plays left field for one season? Kind of like Willie McCovey and Orlando Cepeda. People remember that. The Giants had both in the 62 season, the World Series. There was no DH back then. Now you got the DH. Alonso could move to the DH and you can keep Eldridge at first. I don't know what the Giants are thinking. Excuse me. I think this whole thing is looking like a big giant mess because, no pun intended, but this is, you signed Adames and you signed Chapman. That tells me you were committed to winning. You said no to the rebuild. The Giants could have went the rebuild way, but they chose not to. Last year, at the end of the season, they signed Chapman to an extension, not allowing him to go into free agency. You said right there, you're not going to go to a rebuild because Casey Schmidt was supposed to be your third baseman of the future. You never gave him a shot at third base. He's a Gold Glove caliber third baseman, never got a chance to play third base. He's only his second year last year. He started to show improvement at the plate, had a positive OPS plus. I think he ended up at 109 last year, which is above league average, which is 100. So Schmidt was showing promise at the plate. We know what he can do with his glove, but now you're going to have to play him at his unnatural position. He basically has to learn a new position and play second base, but you've already given the job to Tyler Fitzgerald at second base. So Schmidt is the backup there. See if Fitzgerald is the guy. I personally think Fitzgerald should be a super utility guy, move all around the diamond, give guys a break here and there. If Fitzgerald shows he could be the everyday player. I mean, hey, look, Chris Taylor did it for years with the Dodgers, right? You'd see Taylor at shortstop. You'd see him at left field, center field, right field, second base. But Fitzgerald actually can play all four infield positions. He's played a little first. He can play all the outfield positions. If you could play center, you could play left and right. Believe me, I played center. It's the toughest position of all the outfield positions. So it's definitely doable. So I think he would be great at that role. But so what do? Do the Giants go after Alex Bregman and put him at second base? They have the money, but no, they won't do that. They're not committed. I don't know what the plan is for the Giants. They're not fully committed to winning. It doesn't appear, because if you're committed to winning, you do what the Dodgers did. You do what the Diamondbacks did. Look, the Diamondbacks lost Christian Walker, right, on free agency. He got a deal for 3 years, $60 million, $20 million a year. What did the Diamondbacks do? Within hours, they have a deal in place, and they go get Josh Naylor, who's on the final year of his contract before he enters free agency, but he's making $9.7 million. So the Diamondbacks basically saved $10 million by not signing Walker, and they used that $10 million and turned it around and are giving Corbin Burns $35 million a year. So basically, they leveraged themselves and they pivoted quickly. The Giants aren't pivoting. Who else is out there? We talked about Alonso. Do they do that? I think Alonso ends up with the Mets. Back with the Mets, I think they compromise, and wouldn't surprise me a bit if Pete Alonso and the Mets come to an agreement at 4 years, somewhere in the neighborhood of 115 to 120, and there's a mutual option for a fifth year. Or maybe there's a fifth year and the club has a buyout of, say, $10 million if they don't want Alonso for the fifth year. I think something like that gets done. Steve Cohn has all the money in the world. He's not going to, if he wants Alonso back, if they're willing to offer 3 years, 90, they'll settle. You watch. Okay, who else is left? You've got Bregman, Alonso, you've got Anthony Santander. Now that Teoscar Hernandez is off the board and he's back with the Dodgers, Santander. Okay, Santander does not strike out nearly as much as some of the other guys. Now, he doesn't hit for average. He hit roughly 235, I believe, last year, drove in 102 runs, but he did hit 44 homers, and he is a switch hitter. So Santander is an upgrade, but are the Giants serious about winning? I mean, the Giants don't have the outfielders other than, well, they've got Ramos and they've got Lee, but they've got Yaz. Are you telling me that Santander, you'd rather have Yaz over Santander? I don't know what the Giants are thinking, but the next move needs to be a bold move if you're serious about competing. The one area the Giants had an advantage to do, which is pitching. You can attract pitchers to your park. They missed out on Fried. They missed out on Burns. They let Blake Snell go. Not only have you lost Blake Snell and you did not get Corbin Burns, but you let both of them go to division rivals. And now you're worse off than last year because you're going to have to face now Snell. Instead of having Snell go against the Dodgers on your side, he's going to be pitching against you. And that most likely is a loss when you face Blake Snell and the Dodgers. Same goes with Corbin Burns. When you face Corbin Burns, instead of going up against the Diamondbacks with Corbin Burns, you're facing Corbin Burns, most likely a loss. So I think the Giants are going to struggle. I have them slotted for 4th place. If the Rockies weren't so bad, I think that would be a battle for last place. Right now, the Giants are worse. There's still moves that can be made. You can go after a Jack Flaherty. I wouldn't give him too much, 2-3 year deal. I wouldn't give him more than Flaherty, probably 3 years. But do the Giants want Flaherty? I don't know. You want to stifle some of your young pitching? I certainly would rather have Flaherty in the starting rotation than Jordan Hicks. I'd rather have Jordan Hicks in the bullpen. But we'll see what the Giants do. I think it's going to be a long season at 3rd and King unless they do something drastic. Tell me what you think the Giants should do. Who should they sign? Should they go after Santander? Should they go after Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, Flaherty, any other pitchers, Tanner Scott? There's things that the Giants could do, but they're not doing. Are the Giants in a soft rebuild? Are they thinking they're not ready to compete this year and they want to see what some of these young guys can do, like Tyler Fitzgerald? Maybe Luis Matos is a part of the lineup. Maybe they want to take a look at these guys and maybe they're signaling that they're really not all in. All right, tell me what you think down below. Let us know in the comments section. We do appreciate you being part of NorCal Sports Network. Check out our videos and catch us on the next one. Thanks again for watching. Take care, everybody.